tedious has this job been?
It's been a little tedious. So many clips all over the harness. Most of them broke.
They won't be replaced.
Weight savings.
Yeah.
Having a roll in the direction of force when in a rollover incident is just beneficial, as well as driver safety. Yeah, so these guys, if you're not going to use it, might as well get rid of it, and then I can really get a good spot to land the base plate, and then just rip those little drains out for the...
Oh, yeah.
Dude, this bar is going to sit in there in a really good spot, a nice pocket for it to sit in.
Yeah, I've seen a car before with a fifth bend in it.
Yep, right in the middle.
Like right in the middle. Most rule books say 4. So we're planning on putting the roll cage base plates for basically the main hoop's going to be around here, and then there's going to be the down tubes in the back. And we're thinking about landing them right in this spot over here in both of these corners. It's really strong. There's a lot of bracing there, so it'll make the roll cage really strong. But these brackets are in the way, so we're going to drill them out. And the factory has a spot weld machine, which means it's not like a MIG welder that's spitting out wire. It actually fuses the metal together and makes it melt in between the 2 layers of metal. To drill it out, we've got this spot weld drill. It looks like a little tiny hole saw. So I'll drill like a little pilot dot in there.
Sorry.
Damn it. So basically I'm gonna use a small drill bit first to drill a little tiny pilot, not go all the way through. You can also use a punch, but I found when you hit a punch, this metal's super hard, especially on the weld, so it doesn't give you a very good indentation, and then the spot drill wants to like walk around everywhere. This takes a little longer, but it usually has cleaner results. There you go, so that's the right way to remove a bracket. Takes a little time, but it's better than getting the cutoff wheel and the grinder and like going at it. So now we can just hit these with the little grinder and knock the tops of them off, and then when we make the base plate, it'll sit nice and flat. You guys having fun in there?
Jesus Christ. I was suddenly like, ah. I thought it was dead.
All the rear suspension is still in it, and there's absolutely nothing in the front of the car now, so.
Dang, I guess.
Actual stickers on this.
Calibrated. What?
You dive in there?
You dive in there and get that move. Work on the whole roof A-pillar. Getting this whole side of the bulkhead. It's super glossy.
Yeah.
Weird right here. So it's just bouncing off of it a little weird. We'll have to just go over it slower.
Well, so I'll probably just do like a rough cut for now. Look at the structure inside and figure out like exactly how we can trim it up even later. Yeah. But at least that way he can scan it and get the surface of the door so we know how far we can push the door bars out.
Nice to be able to be confident in the scan working and not even have to look at the screen anymore. Alright, so once I get the car scanned, what we have to do is we have to align it to XYZ. There's no real way to just say, oh, this is top, this is bottom. Inside of the VX Element software, we're looking straight at it. And the way SolidWorks works with their planes, Z is actually always facing towards you. Okay. So that's how
why is your top plane is used your front plane. It's kind of stupid actually.
So that'll allow you to make like one bar and the other one will just be like mirrored.
Yeah, exactly. We get this sitting as close as we can inside of here, and then I bring it into SolidWorks and I will fine tune it if I need to.
Okay.
So when this car is sitting on the ground, I'm assuming that this is flat, and then that trans tunnel sits back
Does
at
have
a
that angle. Yep, exactly. So you're basically going off like the rocker line.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Sweet. What we'll do is merge this. This will just automatically plop it where it needs to go.
Oh wow.
So-
So just because you have reference points
Yeah.
of the rest of the chassis, it just falls in place.
See just plop where that needs to go. Accept. Align. Now you got door panel, door skin, door skin. 3 different layers, and then you can just bring them into SolidWorks now. All right, we are ready to
That
rock.
shit is dope.
You can basically just like insert that into this and then move it around, right? Yeah, there you go.
The thought was to build out some boxes right here,
Yep.
have them come in there, and then just have them stick out a little bit, and then cut over at a little bit of an angle. Follow that around. What do you think?
Yeah, no, that sounds good. And then see, basically the model's all done with the radius bends that your bender will do, right? Like a 5-inch or 6-inch or whatever. So
Yep.
you have all those kind of.
Oh, dude, I'm stoked that we got to do this. We hammered out a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, thanks.
And-
I mean, really appreciate you coming down.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for this thing to get finished up and get these tubes.
I think you're gonna have a great experience welding these in. It's super fun, and you're like, oh wow, this just fits together.
I've been building cages for like over probably like 24, 25 years.
Yep.
And I've never done one like this.
Yeah,
And I've always done them the hard way.
yeah.
And I can't wait to just
Yeah.
have something that drops in and fits perfectly.
That's exactly what this is gonna do for you.
We got the roof cut off, so we have room to do the roll cage, and that's going to make it a lot easier and also save a bunch of weight by taking that stock steel panel off with all of the sunroof structure. So we're going to cut out this trunk area. If we turn this car into a Formula Drift Pro car later on, we'll end up cutting the frame rails off somewhere around here, capping them, making replaceable tube structures for the back. For now, we're just going to cut this out so we have somewhere for the rear mount radiator, all that air that's coming out of there to go. And that's all we're going to do right now, and then maybe cut this battery box section out and raise it up so it's the same as the other side. So let me get the Sawzall and get going. We cut out quite a bit of the factory sheet metal stuff, and they didn't really have like a spare tire thing exactly, but kind of that area, and it kind of ducked down here, so we got all of that out of the way. We had to notch this section here for the differential, so we finished up the rear subframe with the quick change differential mount, cut out some other stuff here to make everything come up a little higher. So the battery used to sit down in here, but we're going to move that, so we cut that out, and we might plate it or we might just leave it open. I'm not sure what we're going to do there yet. Most of the like rough cutting stuff is done. We also cut out this section up here. There's going to be a duct that comes in through the back window that's going to feed air to the radiator. We're pretty much ready to put the roll cage in. Everything is pre-bent, pre-notched, and labeled. The easiest roll cage that I've ever done. We've always bent them per car, and every notch is a lot of time spent measuring, putting it in, checking the angles, and making notches with a hole saw. But this is already done, so it's going to be actually a lot of fun to build this cage. So we got some stuff done on the inside of the car as well. We've kind of cut the stock seat mounting points because the stock seats are pretty wide, and ideally in a race car we want to move the seat towards the center of the car. That helps with weight balance. It also helps if you get hit in the side, you've got more room before, basically more room for the roll cage and more room for safety. I made a plate that will mount the Samsonis shifter and the e-brake. So this is going to go right there. That'll get welded in place. We'll weld nuts on the back of here to mount the e-brake too. I already figured out all the seating position stuff there, and I also made a plate for the Tilton floor mount pedal assembly. all of the components for the roll cage over here. We've got the main hoop. These are the A-pillar bars, door bars, all the straight tubes. Even the little sections that go in between the door bars are already pre-cut. And every single one of them is labeled. So you know exactly what that part is and where it goes is gonna make assembling it even easier. You can see they have a checklist here from Cage Kits. So every single part is labeled on the sheet. You find it, tells you where it goes. Every single part is labeled and it's gonna be really easy to put this thing together. So each piece is already laser cut, pre-bent. So after they scanned the car, they took all of these surfaces and we basically knew where we wanted to land the cage to. And then he designed these plates that fit right in there, weld in place, and that gives the roll cage a lot more structure, spreads out the load. Same thing with the ones for the main hoop. Lock right into the corner here, weld them in, and we'll actually weld these in last. We'll get the main hoop set in place, tack it together, and then once everything is basically tacked, we can cut the tack on here, pull this out of the way, and then we can drop the main hoop down, and that gives us more room to weld. Because we cut the roof off, we might not even need to do that, but we won't weld these in completely until we know that we can reach every single joint. Sometimes where the door bars land here, especially on a two-door, it's a very difficult spot to weld, so if you can move the cage around, that helps a bunch. Since the main hoop is back here, it should be like wide open and pretty easy to get to everything. The little gussets that go in this area here might be hard to weld, but with these boxes being able to pop out of place and the cage can drop down, it's going to be really easy.
Maybe flip it?
Well, what's the number here? F31010.
I think this is the harness bar because it has two.
It'd be a diagonal because the diagonal is one piece, the harness bar is two pieces.
Oh, really? Okay.
But this could be the diagonal. A-pillar bar in first. Because we won't be able to weld the whole thing on the A-pillar bar if we put this in now. We ate lunch and then we started putting the cage in, and I think it's been about an hour and a half, and we have the main hoop, the rear bars, base plates are in place, the A pillars, the header bar, the dash tube. I mean, everything is just like falling in place. It's fitting perfectly. It's touching the side, so you don't need to do like big dimple dyed gussets everywhere. It just fits perfectly. So we can actually weld all of these tubes to the chassis, make the roll cage stronger and the chassis stiffer, but without adding all the extra weight that you would add if you had to do all those dimple die plates, plus all the extra time, because it's just a ton of extra welding. So far it is fitting perfectly. I don't think it could get any better than this, so I'm really happy with it. Like if you don't spend the extra few minutes to line that up and make it perfect, and then you weld the whole thing in and it's done, and then forever the car has a crooked harness bar and it looks terrible. So it's all right. I haven't welded in a long time, so it's not perfect, but it's pretty good.
Well, don't let me do it.
engine harness. I think it's broken into 3 pieces. Yes, that's strictly coils. See, here's our mock-up plugger.
Oh yeah, exactly.